will be ready in about 30 seconds.
Okay, no problem.
Good, how are you?
Chair Salas, we're ready.
Okay, you're ready to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, call this meeting, the special meeting of the Selma Planning Commission to order at 6:03 PM. City of Selma Council Chamber, 1710 Tucker Street, Selma, California, Woolmark Solvang, 280 Alisal Road, Solvang, California. Teleconference number 301-715-2, webinar ID 883-1804-9306. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press *9 to raise your hand and we will select you from the meeting queue. Press *6 to unmute and mute yourself. We'll have a flag salute led by Commissioner Standridge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Corey?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner Sandridge?
Here.
For the record, Commissioner Franco's absent. Chair Salas?
Here.
And Commissioner Kessler is not here yet.
Okay, first order of business, potential conflicts of interest. Any commissioner who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Does anyone have a conflict of interest? No? Okay, oral communications. Notice to the public. At this time, any member of the public may address the commission regarding any item over which the commission has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the chairperson for review. Members of the public shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Is there anyone present who would like to address the Planning Commission?
Chair Salas, if I may, I'm going to read the statement of public hearings quickly.
You want to read that before we have our public hearing?
Correct.
Okay, well, we're not on there yet. We're on oral communication?
Not the oath of office, but the statement that we read right before the meeting.
Okay, go ahead.
City of Selma statement regarding public hearings. During public hearing, I will ask for staff's comments and reports on the items being discussed. After staff's presentation, Chair will open the hearing to public testimony. Chair will then close the public hearing, at which time no member of the public shall address the commission unless specifically asked by a member of the commission through the chair. The Planning Commission will then discuss the matter amongst themselves and take action on the item being considered. Chair, we can move on to the planning.
Okay, oral communication. Are there anyone present who would like to address the commission on any item not on the agenda tonight? Is there anyone online? There's no one online for oral communication?
Chair Salas, I don't see anybody right now.
Okay. Our first action tonight will be the Planning Commission oath of office, the presentation of the oath of office to recently appointed commission member Brian Ramirez.
Chair Salas, thank you. I'll go ahead and present the oath of office. If I can have Mr. Brian Ramirez, please stand at the front. Ramirez, please raise your right hand and follow the response with "I do." Do you solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Mr. Ramirez, if you would like to take a seat on the dais now. Okay. Our, our first item on the agenda. Can you hear me?
Can.
Okay. Conditional use permit, CUP Plan 2510 to establish a new thrift store retail business reselling children's clothing. The project does not propose a physical expansion of the existing structure, nor does it require an increase in the number of available off-street parking. The proposed business, Lovely Little Things, is part of an existing commercial lot within the Central Business District, CBD. The project will also include the approval of a notice of exemption in accordance with California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioners, my name is Kamar Biawogi, City Planner for the City of Selma. And I will be presenting Plan 25-10, Conditional Use Permit, and Notice of Exemption. That should be 25. Apologies for that. The project and description, like Chair said, the proposed project is located on a northeast corner of Flora Avenue and Dockery Avenue. On February 20th, the applicant applied for a business license, which was denied by the Planning Division, as retail establishments that include the resale of used goods require approval of a conditional use permit. And that is what the applicant did per section 11-2.4, subsection C of the Selma Municipal Code. The proposed thrift retail store will serve local families in need by offering affordable, lightly used children's clothing, equipment, toys, books, and accessories. And this location that they're moving into was previously a tax preparation office and a photography studio. Yes, the project location, like I said, is located on the northeast corner of Floral Avenue and Dockery.
Excuse me, Kamara, it is on High Street. It is
Oh,
not,
yes. My apologies.
that's okay.
Just west of High Street and north of First Street, as you can
Yes.
see here on the project location. Apologies for that. Next slide, please. Here is the submitted floor plan. There has not been, or there will not be that much improvements to the interior floor plan. As you can see here, the improvements include rolling racks. The restrooms that they do have will address further into the presentation. The pricing, sorting and tagging room, and then the wall clothing racks. Next slide, please. For the CEQA compliance, 15301 existing facilities exemption has been determined that this project is categorically exempt from additional CEQA process, and a notice of exemption has been drafted for this project. Slide, please. Okay, so the project analysis, the applicant has been conditioned to make tenant improvements to accommodate the change in use. They will be changing, the use will be changed from B, business occupancy, to a mercantile occupancy. Some of these improvements shall establish an accessory path of travel to the specific areas of alteration or addition such as primary entrance to the building and toilet facilities serving the area. Additionally, ADA accessible restroom must be developed as indicated by the California Building Code. These are some of the items that have been addressed in the conditions of approval. Now, the applicant has expressed their request to apply for a hardship exemption related to the ADA improvements. If their exemption is approved, the applicant must or will still be required to upgrade the path of travel elements such as restrooms, parking, and routes to the altered areas to the maximum extent possible without exceeding the 20% cap of the overall proposed construction. Additionally, all donations, additional comments that were added, additional conditions that were added to the project included that all donations shall be handled and accepted by accessing the front access of the building only, and that a sign should be placed stating no dumping on the front and rear portion of the property. This is to attempt any or to deter any illegal dumping or unwanted blight to the facility. Slide, please. Staff is recommending that Planning Commission approves Plan 25-10, subject to the conditions of approval and notice of exemption. And we are open for questions.
Okay, this is a public hearing. So at this time, 6:14 PM, we'll open the meeting to public hearing. Anyone at this time can approach the podium, state your name and address, and whether you're for or against the proposal.
My name is Andrea Castellanos. I'm excited to share my vision for my children's thrift store with a big purpose. This thrift store is designed to support families in our community. This store will offer more than just affordable items. It will be a place where families can buy, sell, and donate gently used children's clothing and goods. We have received an overwhelming amount of support. We have received an overwhelming amount of support from our community as well as surrounding towns. We also have a great location next to EECU that gets steady traffic, and we're confident this can become a valuable resource for local families. Beyond the store itself, we plan to use the profits to give back to our community by hosting back-to-school supply drives, Christmas drives, helping kids afford sports fees, and more. Our mission is to create something that truly benefits the community, and we hope to have your support in making it a reality. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Anyone else like to approach?
Hello, everyone. Santiago Seguera, 2209 Thompson, District 4 Council. The reason I'm here is I just had a question. On the ADA bathrooms, are those required even if they don't open them to the public? I really don't know about ADA. Maybe somebody could enlighten me on that.
Yes, per the California Building Code, and I believe the section number was addressed in the conditions of approval. Even though they're not accessible to the general public, ADA compliant bathrooms is a requirement per the building code.
So who are they gonna be used for if there's no public use? Who's gonna use them that is that it needs to be used ADA? I mean, I don't.
Potential employees. It's not the fact that you are planning for a specific individual who is who may need to have accessible restrooms, but it's for the opportunity or the possibility of a future employee that will be employed there, either now or in the future, that if they were employed, they can and will be able to use those restrooms.
All right, thank you.
Stella Ramirez, Selma, California. I support this store that's going to be opening up because I feel that, in this stage and age, there's a lot of, hardship out there for people that, can't afford, new clothes. And I think, for kids, and I think that it's a good idea to have this. this store there, this thrift store there. Also, you know, I don't see why not. If we wouldn't approve it, if we don't approve it, it would be another empty building just sitting there. And this would attract people to come downtown from maybe throughout not only Selma, but other nearby cities, Fowler, Selma, I mean, Kingsburg, Wheatley. And, you know, word would spread out and spread around. And I think that it would be good. It'd be good for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the commission? Anyone online?
For all, I'm sorry, for all the callers on the line, *9 to raise your virtual hand, *6 to unmute yourself.
Is there
Chair
anyone?
Salazar, I don't see anybody online right now.
Okay, at this time, we will close the public hearing and bring the item back to the commission for any discussion or questions they may have of staff.
I just have a question, please. What is the reason of restricting them to receiving donations only through the front? I mean, if the back is accessible, wouldn't alleviate the traffic on High Street?
It wasn't necessarily regarding the traffic. It was more to help prevent unwanted dumping from the back. At night, it is very possible for individuals to. It is very possible for individuals to dump or use any donations when the facility is not open at a time. Storing those things at night easily can be. You wouldn't be able to see those things over time, and setting a precedent to have those donations in the front, I think helps alleviate that issue. Of course, adding those signs would help too, but that essentially is the purpose for that.
Okay. And regarding the requirement to update this bathroom to an ADA, is that because they applied for the CUP? Because my understanding, there was 2 businesses before that and they weren't required to update it. So what triggered?
The trigger was the change in occupancy. Change in occupancy went from B to M, so mercantile, and that triggered the uses due to the makeup of the business now having more individuals coming in and out of the building. So that is what triggered the California Building Code for ADA compliant restrooms.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on the conditions, number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It says under 5, the applicant or successor in interest shall designate in writing before starting work an authorized representative who shall have complete authority to represent and act for the developer. And then when you go through and you look at 7, 6, 7, 8, and 9, these, it sounds like the tenant is responsible for everything in the building, and the roof-mounted mechanical equipment, the downspouts, electrical transformers, boxes, control boxes, and other equipment. Can you explain that, why the tenant would be responsible instead of the building owner for these type of things?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily saying that they have to do those things specifically per this project. These are standard conditions or comments, and depending on what project that they will be approving, they may be subject to these conditions. Obviously, this type of business is not going to require any new roof-mounted mechanical equipment or a new backflow device. But in the effort that they are going to do that, then they would need to follow these types of conditions. So it's more boilerplate language, but can make the argument that these don't have to be in there, but this is not stating that they have to, the applicant has to do this.
Would her lease have any of these provisions in it to help protect her?
The lease would be a separate entity, essentially. That would be between the property owner and the applicant.
Right.
I also have a question. Under conditions, Number 13. If there's any graffiti, that the tenant must remove it within 48 hours. If not, they would be cited by city officials. So that doesn't fall under the umbrella of what the city council passed up under the graffiti task? Or is that just for residential?
So for the record, this condition was written before that ordinance has gone into effect. So if the ordinance changes, this requirement would change. I think there's mention of what the municipal code section currently is. And I believe the city council agenda for this Tuesday has the second reading of the ordinance, and then it wouldn't go into effect until 30 days after that. So technically, right now, as of this second,
Mhm.
that is the legal requirement, which would be subject to change with the update to the municipal code that is being considered for second reading at the city council on Tuesday, and if approved, will go into effect 30 days after that.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question regarding the application for exemption of the things that are being required for the restroom. What does that entail? What does she have to do? And what is the likelihood of being granted that exemption?
The likelihood, I think, will be more on the building side, with Garad Carsey. For applying, the applicant must submit a cost estimate for the proposed construction, a cost estimate for the required ADA upgrades, an analysis showing that the ADA upgrades exceed 20%, so they do qualify for that hardship. And I think there is a standard hardship request form that they do need to fulfill.
And then if they are granted the exception, what would be her next step to being able to open? I mean, how long does that take and what's the next step involved?
You may be able to talk more about the timeline, but I do know it will work in parallel with Rod Carsey, who approves. So essentially, he wouldn't approve until he does get that hardship exemption. The applicant will work with Rod Carsey. Once they figure out the evaluation and what 20% is, depending on how much improvements they actually need to do. And then I think there is a hierarchy of certain ADA improvements that will be required or will be required if the, yes, exactly, staying in that 20%. Once they abide by that, then it will be approved and essentially should be able essentially to start with everything.
And to add to that, as Kamara stated, the rationale for the ADA improvements is due to the change of occupancy. So the applicant will be required to apply for a building permit for a change of occupancy. That being said, most of the improvements that they're making are relatively minor and have a very low cost. The ADA hardship exemption basically says whatever amount you're making that's under, what's the amount? I think it's like $193,000.
$193,358.
If you exceed that, you have to do full accessibility upgrades. If you're below that, you qualify for this exception, this hardship exemption. And you would be obligated to do an equivalent of a minimum of 20% of accessibility upgrades equivalent to what your cost is. So as an example, if they're doing $500 in improvements, they have to spend $100 on ADA improvements, which could be, if the door's too heavy, they put one of those things on the door to help you open it.
Mhm.
That's an accessibility issue for people that aren't strong enough to open the door in a wheelchair or on crutches or whatever. That would be the extent of accessibility improvements that they would have to make. So they would just have to identify on the form the amount of improvements that they're making and which accessibility improvement that they are going to be able to do within that minimum amount. I believe they could do other things like, and again, the hardship form gives kind of a hierarchy of the first preferred accessibility improvements to be made, and you kind of go through that list. And so that being said, I think the chair also asked timeline. I think that would be a relatively short timeline through the building department once they submit it. Rod Carsey, our plan checking consultant, is already aware of this project. I believe a consultant for the applicant has already reached out to them and informed them of that the project will qualify for a hardship exception. So he's already aware of that item. And so with no really building code compliance issues, like they're not building any 1-hour firewall separations. There's no weird things like that to review. I would anticipate it would be a relatively short turnaround.
So do they have to have a building permit to make those changes to that are going to be required?
The change of occupancy is documented through the building permit process. That is how the city documents changes from one business to another that is a different occupancy. So yes, a building permit would need to be applied for. Impact fees wouldn't apply in this instance. It would be a relatively low-cost permit for this type of project.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from staff or from the commission? At this time, then we can entertain a motion.
I'll make a
approve.
motion. Oh, go ahead.
I move to approve the PUC for Plan 25-10.
I second it.
Roll call.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Corey,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes.
Chair Salas,
Yes,
motion approved.
thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else that staff needs to talk to the commission about?
I think the only thing that we have is we don't anticipate another meeting this month.
For the month of April.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further business, then we can adjourn the meeting at 6:29.
One item for the record, Doug Kessler did show up for the meeting, according to my notes, at 6:21.
Thank you. Okay, move to adjourn.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.